Hey everyone, I am so glad that you are here, and today's video is something that's a little different and a lot of fun. Over the past few weeks, we've gotten tons of great questions from you, our followers, and our amazing community, so we thought, why not answer them all in one place? From personal quirks and business insights to behind-the-scenes stories, we're going to talk about client wins and even some funny questions that caught me off guard. We're going to dive into 20 questions that you wanted to know. So this is your chance to get to know me a little better, learn more about the company, how we serve our clients, and where we're headed next. So think of this as a casual, honest, unscripted peek into the heart of what we do. And we've kind of categorized the group of questions, so you'll start to see a theme here. But I'm going to go ahead and get started right away. So the first question that we have is, what is the first thing that you do when you start your day? And honestly, I try to get up and do stretches, and I do martial arts. So one of the things that I do is to try to stay flexible. And that's the very first thing. And then I wake up and take a look at my calendar and see what I have for the day. Nothing too exciting here. What is something that most people don't know about you? That's the second question. So I would say I am a high-ranking belt in several martial arts. So that's one of the things that most people don't know about me. I've studied quite a bit of styles and ranked in those. So that's something that I could probably talk to you all day about, is martial arts and the martial arts family that I've accumulated over the years. Number 3, what would you be doing if you weren't running a marketing agency? Honestly, I get questions all the time if somebody wants to buy my business. They want to buy and sell my business. And so I think to myself, if that happened and I sold the business, what would I probably do with myself after that? And I'll be honest, I would start another marketing agency. There isn't anything else that I want to do. Number 4, when you're not working, how do you unwind and recharge? And I love to go on adventures. That's one of my favorite things to do, is a new place, a new adventure, new restaurant, new someplace to be or do. So that's my recharge. My unwind is probably to be out camping or boating and doing something in nature, which I think is a good balance for us all, is to find a way to get grounded and be with each other unplugged. I highly recommend that. All right, number 5, what's one personal value that guides your leadership style? This is a tough one. What is one personal value? I've got several, that's why it's tough. So I would say honesty is number 1. Treat people with the honest, credible being, who you say you're going to be. So honesty is number 1. That's my personal value. Respect, that's another one. Honesty and respect, and over deliver in what you say that you're going to do. Your word is the most important thing that you carry. And so being honest and true is my answer on that one. Okay, the next question. What originally drew you to marketing? So back in middle school, I loved psychology of ads and advertising and how they were put together, how they captured people's attention, how they were able to convince you to become a consumer. And I think that my analytical and logical brain and strategic breakdown of how things work, in my mind, says that that's the logical place for me to be. I also love the creativity and fun aspect of marketing and being able to do things. And again, back to adventure and finding out ways to do something new. It's my calling. I knew exactly that this is a good fit. So it's not that I was drawn to it. It was like I was born for it. So from an early age in middle school. And number 7, can you remember the moment that you decided to start your own agency? probably back then in middle school when I was just, I know that that's exactly what I was called to do. And then learning the skills of business ownership and sales and the back end of business entrepreneurship is the stuff that then to round that out was the things that I had to learn from. Next question. What challenges did you face when you first launched Merit Marketing Services? I think a lot of it was just being unknown and getting my name out into an industry that didn't know anything about who I was or what I was doing at the time. I think it was just a matter of spreading the word and getting information into letting people know that we're here and what we do, which is marketing, and getting that turned on while serving clients and balancing marketing us and handling client work. Was there a turning point when you realized, yes, this is working? I think when I got my second client, I think that was, wow, I could really fill a need here. It's what I did then isn't the same thing that we do now. But the idea of that we can still build something that's credible, holding true to my values and making sure that we do things the right way. I think then when we had the second client and the next one after that is when that was the aha moment that, yeah, we could really do something with this. All right. Question. What keeps you passionate about marketing after all these years? That's kind of a silly question just because I love what I do and it's just the way that my brain is wired. And so there isn't really a keeping me passionate about it. I think it's more along the lines of keeping me focused would be a better question here of can you stay focused and do what you do at the core and still be able to manage all of the things. So what keeps me in that, I think, is a good team. And I think that having a good, clear vision of where we want to go and what we want to do is the next thing that's important to all these years. Have that vision, I think, is important. And the other thing that keeps me passionate is people. And so I love the people that I work with. I love the people that are on my team and I love our clients. And I think that just makes it that much more enjoyable. And solving problems and having things accomplished and hitting goals is what keeps me passionate. Okay, next category is about the company. How would you describe your company in 3 words? Honest, value, and dynamic. So in dynamic, we have the ability to deliver a lot of things and to pivot quickly when things are changing because marketing and advertising and communications are always changing and evolving. So I think that's an important pillar of what we are able to do is that we have the ability to pivot quickly and to change and do what needs to be done. And the other just goes back to the values that we carry throughout what we're working on. And that's, I think, why we have had sustainable growth versus seeing those other businesses that may close or make claims that aren't really true. And I think that shows in our relationships with our long-term clients. What makes Merit Team different from other marketing firms? Well, they're all amazing. Everyone that we have on the team here is absolutely amazing. And I think the thing that is a trait that each one of them carries is the ability to learn and to work through any kind of situation and their intellectual ability to think ahead and be strategic and take control and leadership of the projects that they're working on. So we have an excellent team. I hear that all the time from our clients. And I think that is really what sets us apart is that we put on the hat of our client and we take ownership of that and run with it. And I think that shows through in each one of the team members. How do you make marketing less overwhelming and fun for your clients? I think is what it says here. Let me look here. Yeah. So I think that's really a good question because when people come to me, they always are overwhelmed or there's a level that they haven't got to yet. And so I help to take that to the next level with the expertise and the training that we have and our always constant learning feature that we can break it down. And one of the things that I love to do is to teach. And so when I'm teaching, I try to make it in a way that makes it less overwhelming, that it is easy to digest and understand and put into a situation that makes sense. And so I think by my ability to do more hand holding and present things in a way that makes sense and is relatable, and that it's not just a report, or we take the report and we turn it into a strategy session. That is a nice way to make sure that it isn't overwhelming. How do you balance creativity and strategy at work? Okay, how do we balance creativity and strategy? That's a good question. So I think that's really kind of the slogan that we have anyway, is to bring the two together. So technology and design, creativity and strategic planning elevates what we do, and it brings our results on a different level. So in the beginning, when I started the company, it was because there was a disconnect between the person who was running the ads, the person who was running the website, the person who was posting on social media. And with the disconnect became frustrated business owners who would say, I don't know what's going on with my ads. I don't have the insight to know how to make good business decisions and to bring it all together. And the core of how we work with our clients is to say, what is your goal and how can we get you there? Because we can do all of the things that take us there. This month, you may be having an event. Next month, you may be having a special or launching a new product. Your need is different. The client is coming to us with different requests, but we have the ability to take a look at what assets we have. We do the audit, and then that's how we balance between the two, because we have to understand what our goal is, who our audience is, what we're speaking to, and then how do we create the message to go with them. All of that is creativity and strategy and implementation. And so behind the scenes, what's happening, it may just be like on the front end, there's content creation and things that are happening. But on the back end, we, along with the clients, are having strategy sessions. We're having the branding sessions. We're having the conversation about the audience and all of the things in terms of market research and the audit results all come back together to balance all of that out. That's probably a higher level conversation that you were asking when you asked that question, but that is a great question. Thanks for submitting that. All right, the next category that we're going to move on to is working with clients. What type of business do you love working with the most? Ooh, that's a tricky question. So we haven't ever narrowed down our niche because I don't want to just be a cookie cutter repeat business. And I've always steered away from that because I don't want to just be, and there's nothing wrong with that for others, but I don't want to be just set it and repeat when there's a lot more into doing what we do. So if I were just to say, I want to work with only dentists, for example, and narrow it down and say, this is the type of business that I love working with the most. There's nothing wrong with dentists. I'm not picking on that. But if I were to say, I want to hit all of the dentists across the United States and become this specialty dentist worker, the problem that I have to narrowing it down with a type of business or industry is that I'm missing out on all of the other businesses as well. So when I work with a dentist and a author and a therapist and a retail store and a food producer, all of the industries that we work with, the strategies that we're doing are exactly the same. The processes that we do are exactly the same. The time that we invest in understanding your business, the time that we invest in researching your audience, for example, those are the pieces that make us unique, because we then put on the hat as though we were working for your business. But if I were to pick my favorite, it probably goes back to my recreation and fun and adventure. So anybody that deals with recreation, anybody that's in the fun industry, those are all my favorite, just because that's what I like to do. Boating, camping, travel, adventure, beach, love the beach. That would be my top pick since you asked. So I hope that answers your question. Well, let's go into the next one. What is the biggest marketing mistake that small businesses make? And I think that really goes back to not tracking and not understanding what we want to get out of it. So the very first question that I ask a client is going to be, what does success look like to you? What does it mean to be successful in what marketing campaign we're coming out of? How many people do you want in your audience? How many people do you want to sell to? How many people do you want to download your product? What does that look like? And then from there, if you don't know what that number is, it's hard to say that it was successful. If you have the transition and say, well, we got a bunch of people, we hit our goal, but at the other side of this, so we look at marketing awareness, getting people to know about your product and service, and then sales and taking care of the customer after the day that money is transferred from them to you, that then is another failure. So the first one is not tracking and knowing what your success is and seeing that you hit that goal. The second one is not following through with the customer to make sure that you're nurturing them. So I always use two very, very opposite examples of buying a house, which takes a lot of time and energy and money, and knowing that there's this pre-transaction research that happens. You need to go look at a home. You need to go explore what you're interested in. You need to get your budget. You need to start looking at banks and lending and all the things before the sale. And then if you have a subscription to something, for example, then there's a lot of things that are happening after the sale. And those are two very different things. And knowing where your buying cycle happens when you're making a marketing campaign, you need to understand, am I talking to the person who's researching ahead of time, or am I getting them to fill in the need with my product and service and then nurturing them after the sale? So those are two different distinct things, as well as the impulsive nature of your product and purchase. So if it's a pack of gum, pretty impulsive, you're not really doing anything except it's in front of me and I'm going to buy gum. And so your sales are related to how you're going to merchandise. And if you are doing something that takes a lot of thought process, then there are different steps that happen in between there. So it's really important to know how you're spending your time and energy and where you're spending your time and energy. So it's more than just creating Facebook posts, but if that's the only thing that you've got going on and that's what your capacity is to get that Facebook post out there, don't stop. For the love of Pete, don't stop. So that brings me to another marketing mistake, is that when people get to a point in business that they're either like, I can't do it anymore, or I don't have the capacity, or I'm too busy, they stop marketing. So that's the third one, is not being visible. Make sure that you're consistently showing up. What is the most rewarding part of watching your clients grow? Great question. I think the aha moment when they say, you know, we've really just hit, and this just happened, we just hit our biggest month ever bringing you on board. And I attribute that to obviously the strength of my team and the relationship that we have with the client. But that is the most rewarding part, when they have the aha moment that they understand that the strategy and all of the things that we put in the foundation is working. So in an audit, it seems like it's, you know, monotonous. We're going through all of these things to say, what do you have? What does success look like? How can we use and leverage your assets? Who's your audience and how do we reach them? That's part of the beginning piece. But when they see it turn on and take over, that to me is amazing. And when they get to know the team that we have and they say your team is doing amazing things and the team gets to hear that from the client, I think that to me just sings praises about what we've built. Okay, moving on. Good questions. The next one says, what is one goal that you are excited about this year? I am in the process of getting a new certification for the business. And so hopefully that is going to open up some more doors, and then we'll get some more on the state level contracts. We love working with the state because they are clear, their goals are clear, they understand the value of marketing and the communications and storytelling that goes out. So I think the goal is certifications for me. That's one of the many steps that we're taking. We have certifications, but I've got a new one that's a pretty big process that we're in the middle of. Are there any new trends or tools in marketing that you're excited about? Are you serious? It is always something new. So, and there's always a new tool coming out. That's the only reason I say that, is that we're always constantly learning, and there's always something that we have in our toolbox. So we're going to get certified in something. We're going to learn something. We're going to take a new class in something. So the two things that are happening right now is cybersecurity. If you are not getting in cybersecurity and you are not implementing that, I encourage that you do, or reach out to us so we can do that for you. But cybersecurity and hackers is just breaking my heart, because we have had another story where a client had his credit cards, multiple of them, hacked through whatever means that he has done. So cybersecurity is really important. I'm excited about that, even though it breaks my heart because criminals are bad. Do it in some capacity for your business. And then AI. Let's talk about AI. It is growing at such a fast pace that every single tool that you could think of, anything that you are using, any internet platform that you are on, AI is incorporated in it somewhere, some way. And I teach classes on it. I'm certified in leveraging that for your business. And it's such an amazing tool. Now, I have heard that people are saying that their businesses out there firing people in replace of the AI, but I'm not an advocate for that, and I don't want to go down that road. But the conversation that I do want to have, that I am excited about, is that it helps to polish what you're doing. Don't just think of it as a copy and a paste, but the prompts that you could use can help you in human resources. You could use AI in graphic design. You can use it for an unbelievable amount of tools in your operations, in customer service. There are so many features that AI can help polish your user experience, enhance your team's effectiveness, and just essentially make you look better. So that's my answer. Cybersecurity and AI, get on board, put it in your business somehow, some way, take a training, open up a video, a tutorial, reach out. I will give you some resources as well. Okay, next question. Moving on from that one. What advice would you give to someone just starting their business today? Great question. I would say that the first thing that you need to do is understand your mission, your vision, and your values. That if you cannot identify that, then you're not really leading. The next thing that I want you to do is to understand the gap that you fill. You don't want to just make something and put it out there. And make sure that you have business insurance. I can't stress that enough. Get your business insurance and make sure that you are insured the right way. All right, last group. Fun and personality questions they've put together for us. So what's your go-to coffee order? I don't order coffee. Okay, let me rephrase that. If I'm going to McDonald's, I like the frappe. I drink a homemade iced coffee in the morning at home, but yeah, I'd say frappes, iced coffee and frappes. What is a quote or a motto that inspires you? A quote or a motto? Oh, this one kind of changed the way that I lead and do business and make things happen is I'm going to kind of paraphrase it here, but basically don't be paralyzed by trying to be perfect, but rather go out there and do the things even though they're imperfect. And I don't know what that quote is, but that's basically the idea of take action and do something, and don't try to make sure that everything has to be 100% the right way, and get stuff done, make progress with that. And let's see, what is your favorite guilty pleasure show? I don't think it's a guilty pleasure, but that's a good question. I like how it's made. And there's a new one that I found of Wow, I Never Knew That. And they're both on online streaming platforms that you can find. But I think those are cool because I get to see the behind the scenes and how it's made, and that like the idea of understanding how things work, which is why I do what I do. So I think that just plays right into my entertainment factor. And I usually watch those at the end of the day when I'm sitting down to relax. And the very last question, these are all great questions, guys. Finish this sentence. So I guess it's not really a question. At the end of the day, I hope people say that Teri was fun. I think fun is my first word. Then my second one would be, at the end of the day, I hope people say that I am honest and fair. And the third one would be loving and nurturing. I think those are all character traits that I value. So there you go. Fun. I hope that you get to know me and realize that I am fun, honest, and nurturing. Okay, well, that ends the last of our questions. I hope that you were able to hang with me, and thanks for joining me today. Enjoy the rest of yours. Bye-bye.